These are pretty healthy ingredients somewhat, and great for calories and protein, and getting ahead on your calorie intake in the morning. So
that's what I've been looking to do.
Well, it was the talk of the combine. Now it might be coming to a smoothie store near you. The Ben Bartch Special. It's a dedicated protein shake for those who want to gain a little weight, which is certainly his story. We'll tell you that in just a second. I, for one, will pass on a weight gain smoothie. I can take care of that all on my own without a smoothie. Welcome into Action Sports Jax Primetime, the post-draft edition, as we take a look at the Duval Dozen. 12 picks in the draft for the Jaguars. Maybe a bit of a surprise, they used all 12 of them. General Manager Dave Caldwell has had some success in later rounds in past years, but you still think that he would have used some of those picks to move up and grab some guys? They did not. They liked all 12 of their guys. Heck, they said they would have drafted some more if they had the chance, and that's what undrafted free agency is for. Let's start with the overall impressions from the Jags decision makers on the 2020 NFL Draft.
You know, there's always a point where you wish you could do more. You're never going to come out of a draft completely satisfied. But this is about as satisfied as we've been with that many picks. And we feel really good about the players we got and filled some needs.
Do I feel that we have competition and, you know, players that could potentially be good players and good foundation of the organization? Absolutely. So I feel like we've done a very good job of putting that in place. And now they have to go out there and perform like we think they can perform or could perform.
So an overarching theme appeared to be defense for this draft class. Sure, there were some positions that needed impact guys and others that needed depth, but you could say the same thing for an offense, which often fell behind in games last fall. The Jaguars going defense with 3 of the first 4 picks Thursday, and then on Friday, well, of course, they come circle back to some of those selections in just a bit, but let's go ahead and start with the first guy off the board today. That's offensive lineman Ben Bartch. He's got that interesting story. It's not just the smoothies he ate to gain weight. He came into Division III St. John's as a tight end. Well, he went out 86 pounds heavier and an offensive lineman in the NFL. Finding guys like Bartch is not easy, though he certainly made an impression both at the Senior Bowl and at the NFL Combine. Jaguars Director of College Scouting Mark Ellens first saw Bartch when he played for his alma mater's rival school, but he was able to set aside the rivalry and see the positives in picking an O-lineman.
Difficult to find these offensive linemen. This is a kid that we still think has a lot of upside. He played it very well, held his own at the Senior Bowl. It wasn't too big for him. We think we got a lot of value in this kid and a lot of ability to grow.
All right, let's continue to move on with our picks, and let's move on to the next one. After Bartch, it was right back to defense for the Jaguars and a cornerback selection with Michigan State's Josiah Scott. Certainly a position that needs that depth right away. Scott could be a guy that backs up DJ Hayden in the nickel spot while also playing a role in special teams. Scott also comes with a fun fact. He's the only guy to pick off Ohio State's Justin Fields this season.
At the end of the day, my goal was just to get in the league, and now it's just time to stay in the league. And that's kind of been my mindset the entire time. It's like, when you leave college early, you never know what to expect. I never filed for a grade or anything like that. I was kind of just betting on myself. And so going to the 4th round is good with me. Now it's time to work.
That's the mood of a lot of these players. 3 4th-round picks, pretty rare feeling, but not nearly as rare as getting drafted by the team you watched growing up as a kid. Because for the first time since 2006, the Jacksonville Jaguars have drafted a player from their own backyard. Shaq Quarterman played his high school ball at Oakleaf in Orange Park before heading down to Miami and starting all 4 years as a Canes linebacker. He's a durable, high-character leader, something we've seen from him at every level, and he's going to bring those same qualities to the Jaguars as a rookie. Getting the chance to play for his hometown team, well, that's just a blessing for Quarterman.
I'm just so happy that I have the opportunity to do it because, to be honest, most people don't get the chance to do that. So repping the brand has always been a thing for me, especially, you know, Jacksonville with that 904. I've been throwing my 4s up since I got to college, so I'm excited.
And what an outstanding career for the Hurricanes linebacker. He was voted to the All-Conference First Team in 2018 and 2019. In 52 games played, total over 350 tackles. That's a lot of tackles. And he was no stranger getting after the QB, 13 sacks in all in 4 seasons with Miami. He also got to hold that turnover chain quite a bit as well. The Jags were not done there, far from it. So let's continue to roll through the draft with the picks as we head to the 5th round. And more help for the secondary. Daniel Thomas from Auburn will look to provide some depth at his position. Ronnie Harrison, Jared Wilson, those are your starters. Certainly one of the positions where the Jags weren't desperate to find some help. In Thomas, they get a guy who excels in special teams and always finds himself around the ball. Not bad traits to have. How about a guy on the offensive side of the ball to get excited about? There really aren't all that many 6'6" wide receivers on this planet. Colin Johnson, he is one of them. The Texas Longhorn will give Gardner Minshew an added weapon in the receiving corps this fall. One celebrity thought this pick was all right. Matthew McConaughey is as Texas as they come. He was giving props to all the Longhorns draft selections today, including the new Jags wideout Johnson. Speaking of offense, picking a Pac-12 quarterback in the late rounds worked out okay for the Jags last year, so they do it again in 2020. Jake Luton put up some nice numbers while healthy at Oregon State, including a senior season with 28 touchdowns against just 3 picks. Doesn't hurt that he has an NFL frame, too. 6'6" and a good throwing motion, according to Caldwell. He can't wait to work with Gardner Minshew.
It's going to be really cool for me and him to be able to be in that room and kind of have shared similar journeys, and we can just push each other to be the best we can be. But yeah, it doesn't bother me at all. I'm excited. I'm really excited to get to work with him, and like I said, just push each other.
What do you think about coming and playing some tight end for us?
Thank you so much.
No problem.
Oh, my God. I love you guys the whole time.
How cool is that? I love the emotion from the Jags' next pick, Tyler Davis. We wondered if they were going to add another tight end after picking up Tyler Eifert in free agency. Well, it's another Tyler, this one from Georgia Tech. Davis spent 1 year with the Rambling Wreck after starting his career at UConn. Davis is another high-character guy. He was a captain this final year in Atlanta. And last but not least, how about the 7th-round selection, Chris Claybrooks, who played for now FSU coach Mike Norvell at Memphis. He's a cornerback by trade, but he's going to be expected to win the starting kick returner job here in Jacksonville in order to secure a spot on the roster.
You're going to turn that loose at Jacksonville Jaguars, just my speed, my motor, never giving up, and like I'm a playmaker, so whatever they need me to be, I can do it, and I will make a play, use impact.
Well, that's a lot of guys, certainly a lot more than we normally run through on Saturday of the NFL Draft. We're going to go more in depth on the Sunday edition of Primetime, so be sure to go ahead and tune in tomorrow night as well. We know you watch Saturday and Sunday every week, but we just remind you in case you forgot. What's the first thing everybody loves to do right when the draft ends? Well, you grade it, right? That's what you do. And there are a lot to take into consideration this time around with the Duval Dozen. There they are in all their glory. This rookie class, let's take a look at some of your thoughts from Twitter earlier today. We've got Matt, who said he would have liked to see another offensive lineman or 2. Remember, this Jags front office really likes their offensive line. Boss Champion says, missing a running back, but I'm excited about the new defensive tackle from Ohio State the most. That was one of those day 2 selections. We'll talk about him in a second. How about Deepak? Ask me in 2 years, I'll be able to tell you. Half of them won't be on the roster by then. There's a lot of roster turnover in the NFL, and it is fair that, you want to grade the rookie class now, but really you do have to wait a little bit. How about one more from Marcus Paul? How many cornerbacks needed to replace Jalen Ramsey? Well, the Jags drafted 3, and they didn't stop there. We'll get to the undrafted free agents in just a second. This rookie class will be different than any other because their arrival at the bank, well, it's going to be delayed. Rookie camp usually would have been a few weeks from now. As you know, well, that's not happening. We'll see when they're able to make their Jacksonville debut. Brett Martineau with his thoughts on the Jaguars draft class.
Maybe the surprise of this draft for the Jacksonville Jaguars, they used all 12 picks. They didn't trade up or down one time in the 2020 draft. That is stunning to me. Let's Monday morning quarterback this thing, even though it's not Monday just yet. Overall, the Jaguars like what they did. I think it's very hard to fist pump over just about anything the Jaguars did, other than the 2nd round pick, Laviska Shenault. I think he's going to be a fun guy on offense for Jay Gruden and for Gardner Minshew, and he's going to make the Jaguars a little bit different. So I like that. Outside of that, I think they were all solid picks, especially in the first 4 rounds. You could tell what the Jaguars are trying to do. They're remaking this defense, and they're actually more comfortable with what they have on offense than other people believe. But let's talk about the offense, because That's what sells tickets and gets fans excited. If you think about last year versus this year, they hope Minshew takes a step. They hope Jawan Taylor continues to grow. They hope Cam Robinson and Leonard Fournette, who at least as now is still on the team, play in a contract year and play very well. They use DJ Chark, they add Chenault at wide receiver along with Dede Westbrook, and they hope Jay Gruden is a better play caller than John DeFilippo. And the tight end room is so much better. Josh Oliver, a draft pick from last year that did not play. Tyler Eifert, if he stays healthy. And they added some height and some other tight ends as well. So you could see what the Jaguars trying to do. Now, can they score enough points? Can they stop people? Well, we'll find out soon enough. There's a philosophy change going on both sides of the football. And the Jaguars players don't have an offseason to adapt to it. So much more conversation about it over the next few days. The 2020 draft is in the books.
Well, let's say hey to a little Austin Lane love. Check it out, the 92 jersey from the Austin Lane era, making an appearance to help brighten the day for this fine neighborhood. Gotta love it.
It's your boy Solomon Kindley, Georgia Bulldog native. Fins up, I'm happy to be a Miami Dolphin. Can't wait to get down there to work.
Solomon Kindley gets to stay in the state of Florida. Remember, he's from right here in Jacksonville. It rains, and now he's headed south to Miami. The former Reigns Viking selected by the Dolphins in the 4th round of the NFL draft, and he'll have plenty of opportunities to put his lifeguard skills to test on South Beach, if you do remember that story we did on Solomon like 39 years ago. Hey, big shout out to a few of our locals heading to the pros. Glenn Academy running back DJ Dallas, selected in the 4th round by the Seattle Seahawks. More on him in a second. Ed White grad, Tavares Davis, the speeding bullet, receiving a call immediately following the draft selections. He's headed to Kansas City as a member of the defending champion Chiefs as an undrafted free agent. And we're still waiting for word on the landing spot for Reigns alum Michael Pinckney, the talented linebacker. Going to have to wait just a little while longer to determine his destination. Hey, Dave Caldwell, give him a shout. He can hang out with Shaquille Quarterman. They're big friends from their time in Miami. For me, one of the coolest parts of this job is seeing the guys that played on Friday nights excel on Saturday afternoons, and then get their shot to play on Sundays in the league. One local city has been quietly doing just that for years now, as Marcel Robinson reports on a football hotbed here in Southeast Georgia.
One of the biggest debates amongst football fans is which state has the top football talent. Now, many will say Florida, some will say Texas, and there are plenty of other candidates depending on who you ask and where you live. But there's one town that's just an hour away from Jacksonville that's making a strong case to be in the conversation.
Oh, man, it's amazing. Got 3 guys from my hometown, home team.
And the interception. What a job by Slay. Rodgers with time. And it is picked off. Justin Coleman.
The Detroit Lions select Tracy Walker.
3 players, 2 teams, 1 origin. Brunswick, Georgia. Darius Slay, Tracy Walker, and Justin Coleman all started their pigskin journey as members of the Pirates in South Georgia.
Played together in high school, being the secondary together, it's a blessing, man. It was not, it's easy for us to catch on to each other because we've been playing with each other for a long time. It's been nice, man. Brought Georgia on the map.
Slay has since made his way out of Detroit and is now a member of the Philadelphia Eagles. Another stop for the Georgia native that is making quite the name for himself. And while that notoriety is great, he knows that he's leading the charge in terms of laying the path from the 912 to the NFL.
I appreciate it more, man. I try to set the stone for the guys back at home. The trademark is keep going.
Less than 10 years later, another Brunswick-born baller is looking to prove his talents match up with the best of the best.
I don't know what's in the water, but yeah, we breed them.
DJ Dallas down the sideline.
Like, you know, all our whole life, like we've been underrated, and I feel like even in the league, Slay to me is an underrated corner. You know, Justin Coleman, he's proven that he can do it. You got Tracy Walker, who's proven that he can do it as a rookie, and that adds on to that chip on our shoulder.
Now, DJ Dallas suited up for Glenn Academy, which is one of the biggest rivals for the Brunswick Pirates. And he's not the only big name to come from Glenn Academy. Cardinals pitcher Adam Wainwright and former top NBA overall pick Kwame Brown both suited up for the Red Terrors before starting their professional careers. And now DJ Dallas adds his name to the list as he was drafted on the 3rd day by the Seattle Seahawks. At Casa de Robinson, Marcel Robinson, Action Sports Jax.
Casa de Robinson, I think that's Spanish for House of the Robinson. Be sure to go follow Marcel on the Twitters At Marcel A.S. Jax is where to do that. He likes GIFs. He likes that one a lot with the puppet monkey guy. I don't know what it's doing. It's a thing. People like these things. That's what I hear. Hey, that's the Duval Dozen right here. Take a look. Breathe it in. It's good stuff. 12 picks made by the Jacksonville Jaguars that look to make an impact in the AFC South this upcoming fall. Let's continue our team coverage with Action Sports Jax Dan Hicken. He is breaking down the Friday night selections. A couple of players in positions that we thought might be filled in round one.
All right, Stuart, let's take a look at what's happened so far for the Jacksonville Jaguars during the first 2 days. And, of course, you kind of see what happens and then you make an opinion about it. But C.J. Henderson, they had to get a quarterback. That was sort of a need pick. Chason, they absolutely love. Dave Caldwell and the Jaguars had him very high on their board. He's a pass-rushing defensive end from LSU. And then Friday night, they get us a playmaker, Laviska Shenault. Let's show you Laviska before we talk about Devon Hamilton, the run stuffer. And Shenault is quite a playmaker from Colorado. Now, he did battle some injuries, but nobody broke more tackles at the receiver position in all of college football than Laviska Shenault. In fact, if he had come out last year, would have been a first-round pick. Caldwell said last night that the Jaguars have been watching this kid for 2 years and had him at this time last year as their #1 receiver on their board. Now, obviously, a lot has happened. He battled through injuries. He had surgery, but he's okay. But this guy is about almost 230 pounds. One guy doesn't usually bring him down. He is the definition of a playmaker. It's going to be fun to see what Jay Gruden is able to do with him on the offense and how his game translates for the Jaguars in the National Football League. Then there's Devon Hamilton. He is a name you don't know very well, but he's from Ohio State, so he played big-time college football. He's a big dude, 320 pounds, 6'3". He's quick enough to get into the backfield 10 times and get tackles for losses. He had 6 sacks a year ago playing alongside Chase Young. So this guy is a pretty good football player, but they drafted him for one thing and one thing only, and that's to stuff the run, okay? He's a guy that if they go to that 3-4 can line up right over the center and do some damage. So it'll be fun to see what Devon Hamilton is going to be able to do. But overall, these 4 picks, one thing about them, man, they're all kind of quiet kids. They let their play speak for themselves. And you can tell that the Jaguars, while not wanting to sacrifice talent, are definitely trying to find good characters to be in that locker room as they try to shift from what they used to have. Very interesting moves by the Jaguars so far, Stuart, and we'll see how the rest of the draft plays out. That's it for now. Let's go back to you.
Congrats on being selected in the NFL draft. Just wanted to welcome you to Jacksonville, and glad to have you be a part of the Duval family.
PGA Tour golfer Harris English, he's a big Jaguars fan, taking to Twitter to welcome the newest members of the team today.
I'm a former Gator, Taven Bryan, and you're watching Action Sports Jax.
Action Sports Jax Primetime, Saturday at 10:30 on Fox 30.